Hey, what's up out there? It's Dave Duford at davidduford.com. Hope you guys are doing well as I get my act together and get everything up and running. Everybody is popping on the stream now and getting going. Hope you guys are doing fine. Warm welcome to Mr. Bill, Jeff, and George. Thanks for hopping on early, and thank you guys for being here. I'm going to jump right into this thing and kind of give you an overview of what to expect on this live stream. In an attempt to help insurance agents out everywhere across the country. I'm going to be doing one of these live stream, longer format types of calls starting monthly on YouTube, kind of towards the end or beginning of the month, in conjunction with one on Facebook about the middle of the month. The concept is simple. This entire training is designed to answer any kind of burning questions you have about insurance sales, marketing, lead generation, carrier questions, anything that relates to helping you sell more insurance. This particular training is designed to do that. It is live. It, again, will be announced several days in advance. Usually it'll be at nighttime, 6 o'clock or later. I can only last so long. I'm getting old. I usually fall asleep by 9:30 every night anyway. But you get the idea. Hey, Brett, what's going on? Thanks for joining. So the concept, again, you just ask your questions. You'll see to your right side of the screen. If you're watching on your mobile, you'll see it at the bottom of the screen. You're welcome to participate and ask any questions that you have about anything in particular as it relates to selling insurance. And I will spend approximately 30 minutes or so on this particular live call each time, just really answering questions that you have. I've got a few prepared to get you guys' brains greased and lubed, so you can throw a few more at me. Just a couple of shameless promotions, of course. You can see across my right shoulder, two of the best ever, if I say so myself, books ever made on selling insurance. I welcome you to purchase them at your heart's content. The Official Guide to Selling Final Expense is just that. It helps you sell more final expense. And Interviews with Top Producing Insurance Agents is a compilation of, I think it's 12 or 13 agents. One guy's a referral generation master that's included too. Where I just interview agents and learn why they're successful, how they're successful, with the goal of sharing that kind of advanced knowledge to the neophyte and those of you who are struggling and want to learn how to up your game. It's great reads for both of them, and you can buy it at Amazon.com or go to my website, davidduford.com, and then click the Buy Books Now link at the top of the page. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into some questions. And again, as I ramble on through these lists of questions, I welcome you to throw some questions down in the chat. Those come as first dibs on the list of things, so ask away. So the first question here is a question about how to get started in the insurance business. This is a great question. Should I go captive to begin with instead of going independent? The short answer is it depends. The long answer is kind of what we'll get into with this particular question. So why go captive? What are some reasons people go captive to begin with? And just to clarify, if you're watching this, you don't know what captive means. Essentially what captive means is that you're essentially tied. You're a captive. If you think of the root word captivity, slave, you're a captive to one particular organization. Most of the time, you represent one particular product. Captive companies generally include, but aren't limited to, companies like Lincoln Heritage, New York Life, Mass Mutual, that kind of thing. Yes, in some circumstances, they'll let you carry different companies, but the name of the game when you work for one of these organizations is that you represent that particular company. The pros, perceptively, are that you get more training. You get access to mentors, you get access to more motivational training, more meetings to learn more stuff, and that kind of thing. And then, you also have the ability potentially to build your own team and build out a way to generate passive income. The drawbacks tend to be dependent upon the person. And that's kind of where I'm going to go into, because I think it used to be, if you watch all my old content, captivity is something I would be profusely against. I guess I've softened up in my older years now. I made a video once really just castigating Lincoln Heritage. I had a lady who was happy that she had a 60% contract and paid full price for leads, and Lincoln Heritage was the best because it was the biggest, because biggest and best are the same things, right? So I went on a rant, pulled it down just because I just got tired of dealing with the Lincoln Heritage people who didn't like that assessment. However, I will say this. It doesn't really matter to me anymore what you do with your career. You got to follow your heart. You got to follow what's right for you. And I think the reason that captivity, I did this in a recent video of mine, where I actually say Lincoln Heritage isn't that bad, is because a lot of people need a lot of the micromanagement. They need a lot of the guidance. They need a lot of the direction in their career. Now, I don't. I have always thought getting into the insurance business, I want to do it because it gives me freedom, right? I don't want a boss breathing down my neck. I don't want to be motivated every single day. I can do that all myself. Thank you very much. And so the attraction of this business was really the freedom to be as prosperous as I want to set my own schedule, to dictate my own terms. If I wanted something other than that, I'd be working for corporate America, be back at Aramark slinging uniforms again. No, thank you. So, but hey, that's just me. I've realized, again, I can't paint my biases on other people per se, but I can explain the kind of setup that it would be appropriate for it. And the truth is, the vast majority of agents out there, like it or not, would probably fare better under a more structured, to say it nicely, system. You got to ask yourself what's right for you. You got to make that determination yourself. I don't know. It's something that comes down to a personal decision. For some people, it's great. There's a particular lady on here. I think her name is Christine L. She runs a YouTube channel. She's very good at her job. She's got high energy. She seems like things go really good for her. She's got a lot of people that she works with that likes her work. She works for Lincoln Heritage. That's cool. It works for her. That's her setup. And for a particular group of people, hey, that's cool. Let's go that direction. But I think ultimately, if you're wanting access to the best commissions long term, if you want access to multiple carriers to give your products, give your clients the best product selection, if you want to give yourself the most leverage in your career, I think independence is the way to go, to have multiple carriers and not be burdened by representing something that may not be in the client's best interest. And I will say some insurance is better than none, so I can't say that all of it's bad, but you do have the ability, if you know how to prospect, find leads, and get training, to not have to go to captive route, to do a better job by your clients, and incidentally get paid more because of it. The independent agent makes a tremendous amount of money, in many cases a lot more, but it takes a level of responsibility that very few agents have. Again, the success rate in this business is probably, first year, 10%. And the reality of it is because it's a very difficult profession. You are responsible for every iota of what happens in your career. Not one other person but you decides your fate. If you want to knock on that door or not, it's late, you want to get home and just chill, it's up to you what you want to do, because behind that door could be the sale that makes or breaks your career. And it's your decision to do that. And that takes a lot of responsibility. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of inner drive that, myself or nobody else can really motivate you to do. So that's kind of the burden of being an independent agent. You got to be able to handle something like that. So bottom line, captive or independent, listen to this, think about this conversation I just had with you. It's brief, and make your own mind up. You can always back out of one and go into the other. There's no circumstances where you're going to be roped off from this business and not allowed to participate in any other way. So get a feel for it. If you're not quite sure, go follow your instinct, see how things are the first month, assess, and then if it's not going to work, go another direction. You can always have the ability to do just that. Cool. Okay, so next question here again. Thank you guys for joining me on my first Q&A live stream. If you're watching this, and right now we've got a good bit of people watching this, you are more than welcome to post a particular question that you have about anything insurance related, sales, marketing, leads, anything on your mind. If you're having trouble with a particular objection, feel free to post it in the chat. I'll be happy to address any questions or comments or concerns that you have. So next thing on the list here is, of course, this is a common question, especially amongst new agents, is, well, how do I figure out what to sell? A lot of people become very happy that they've had success getting their license, but they get to the point in their when they get their license, they're like, yay, now what? And if you're at anything at all like myself and you're an opportunity seeker, you start looking at different opportunities, different types of programs that you can sell, different kind of things you can do, and you can be kind of like attracted to all of it. And it becomes very difficult to hone down and figure out exactly what direction you want to go. And so I want to give you a little perspective and advice on kind of how to proceed as you get started in this business, or maybe you're relatively new, but you're not happy with what you're doing. Kind of how do you figure out what your calling is in the insurance business? Because there's a lot of directions you can go. I just do life business, some little bit of Medicare, a little bit of annuity, but there's all sorts of other things, commercial, P&C, the list goes on. So how do you do this? So my advice, first of all, to all new agents coming out, unless you have prior experience in the insurance business, it really 90% of the time is going to suit you best to focus on one particular product, okay? Now, this is even harder for a lot of you guys out there because you're thinking, well, I could sell the final expense, then cross-sell to Medicare and sell the annuity. I could do it all. But time and again, that just doesn't seem to work out for a lot of people. Why? Because there's a lot of nuance and there's a lot of learning that you have to go through. And there's a sense of overwhelm if you feel like you have to know all this stuff before you step out the door and sell anybody. And again, the more confusion, the more complication that you experience, the less likely you're ever going to pull the trigger. So the solution is to keep it simple, okay? And by keeping it simple, the best way to do it, in most cases for new, inexperienced agents, is just to pick one product and run with it. Of course, you know me, Final Expense Agent Mentor. I'm a big believer in final expense insurance. I think it's a great way to start in the insurance business with a simple product that's not technically demanding, with a wide mass market group of people all across the country who need this product immediately. And with a simple lead system, you can see them on a regular, consistent basis. And many people stick with final expense because there's a level of comfort that comes from it, achieves the income goals they have, and you can scale up if you want to get to the point in your career where you want to make more money. Alternatively, once you master, and this is kind of the next step, is okay, what if I want to sell something after I master something? Well, the next step is to find a product that has a similar market segment that you can begin to cross-sell. That's the easiest way. So like in the case of final expense, something along the lines of Medicare would be a good selection. There's a mass market of Medicare people, everybody over 65 and older. And whether you sell SUPs, Medicare Supplements, Medicare Advantage, these are people you can go back and help during open enrollment, annual enrollment, I should say, or open enrollment if they're turning 65 or they just got their disability started. There's all sorts of things you can do to help these people out and go back and create a clientele or a book of business out of. So you don't have to do it all up front. Again, I don't know why it's like this, but I mean, it happened to me when I first started. I started to attempt to Medicare supplements, and it distracted from everything. And so, I mean, to this day, I predominantly sell final expense, and I'm 7 years into this business, and I got to think about that, you know. And there's a lot of people who kind of are on the same boat. So my opinion is, for you new guys, how do you pick what product is best? Let me talk about that for a moment. I think it comes down to what your biases are towards the kind of market that you like. So, for example, I like final expense, and the reason I did final expense is because I needed to make money yesterday. It was a fast commission process. And you're dealing with a less, you're just dealing with a less technical product with a marketplace that I like old people, all right? You know, just normal blue-collar types, you know, Joe Six-Packs, okay? I like that. I was intimidated by the advanced planning markets or middle class and above. I felt like, I don't know how to help a person with their money if I'm in my 20s and they're a doctor and they got their act together and I don't, you know, when I first started in the business. So that was something I didn't particularly pursue. Now, that may not be you, and that's fine. I'm not suggesting that my approach is the right one. It's just that it took an assessment of my personal capabilities and matched them with a market I could thrive in. You may prefer a health insurance product. Maybe it feels more tangible to you, and you want to deal with a more lower middle class clientele. Medicare is a great product to sell. Same thing with annuities to seniors. There's different markets there, but, you know, like we can sell to lower middle class to middle class seniors with our systems that we teach our agents. And, or maybe you don't want to deal with old people. You know, a lot of people who just don't want to deal with seniors, and they want to work with working people who have money, who are progressing in their careers, thus maybe viable life opportunities and life and insurance, really, opportunities as they go through life. the mortgage protection market is a great market for that because there's a longer-term viability to sell other products too, not just that first deal. It is a clientele type of building business. So you got to, and then there's other factors too, like what hours of the day are normal to work. Mortgage protection predominantly nighttime hours, Medicare predominantly daytime hours, final expense kind of a mixture of both. How do you develop leads? What kind of capital allowances do you have in order to invest in leads? Makes a difference too. So it just depends what you want to accomplish and what your goals are, and you got to look at all these variables and make a decision on one of them. Okay. It's okay to measure it down to maybe one or two, but you've ultimately got to say, this is the one I want, and I'm jumping in with both feet, and I'm going to completely dedicate to myself to this for the next 6 to 12 months before I start to look to see what other products I can sell. It's a lot easier to cross-sell. It's never super easy, but it's a lot easier to cross-sell if you've mastered something or if you've had a significant experience working a particular market, because you're not going to need to develop that product knowledge like that as well. All right, got some questions here. Let's go ahead and answer some questions. Hey, Dwayne says, yes, I'm sticking with Effie until I got that down pat. Very good. Hey, there's Chris. What's going on, Chris? Chris says, so I sold someone recently, but in the middle of the presentation, he asked, can I cancel anytime? Should that question make me nervous about him not sticking around? I think that's a great question, Chris. I've had that too. I've had people say, so if things change, can I cancel this? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, it's fine. But what you want to do is you want to kind of like stop the tape and be like, okay, when I hear somebody say, can I cancel anytime? To me, that sounds like they're not fully committed to this. Is there anything about what you've seen so far that would stop you from, investing in this particular program when we're talking about life insurance? It's almost like that is such a red flag that you need to address it now, and as opposed to pretend it never was said, right? Because people say things, right? And thoughts are things, and they don't just go away because you've ignored them. You want to bring it to the forefront. You want to put them on the spot. You want to say, look, I'm not saying you have to be committed to this in the sense that if things change and you lose your check and you don't, yeah, you can drop this, but here's the thing. You shouldn't buy this unless you're entirely committed to keeping it, okay? I mean that. I would rather walk away, leave you here, Mr. Prospect, and not sell you a policy if you think in the slightest chance that you may cancel this. Or better yet, maybe just reduce the overall amount of coverage. Maybe things will be better then. What do you say? And just go ahead and address it, okay? This is a line in the sand. This is an ultimatum. You cannot pretend this didn't happen. And just kind of stop where you are, address it, and then if the person's like, well, I'm just concerned, I don't want to be in a position where if things got tight, then, I can't get rid of it or something like that. And then you want to say, cool. So what you're saying here is that this price here is 100% good right now. It's not overpriced or anything like that. Yeah, I think that works good, says Mr. Prospect. You want to get them tied down nice and tight if they start talking like that. And again, and then you want to say, and what you're saying here is you're going to keep this. With all intents and purposes, you're going to keep this. And under no circumstances, unless the world's on fire or something, you're going to drop this. Am I right? Because if you're not 100% on there, let's reduce the price down. Be willing to walk things back. I would rather take a little of something than a lot of nothing, all right? So, and that kind of leads into the next question. That reduces the chargebacks. It reduces the issues that come around. So hopefully that helps. Hey, Suriel, how you doing? Sorry if I messed your name up, but thanks for joining. Andrew, how you doing? Andrew Buggy? Again, sorry if I messed your name up. How do you handle chargebacks? How do I handle chargebacks from sales or agents beneath me? Let's say I've got connections. No. When I deal with personal chargebacks, so here's the thing. Chargebacks are going to happen. Okay? It's like wishful thinking to think that you can't get around chargebacks from ever being a part of your career. And they don't happen like algorithmically. So what I mean by that, it's like, well, if I say 20% of your book's going to fall off, okay, so if you write 20 deals a month, you're not going to lose 4 deals every month, all right? You're going to lose 1 here, 2 the next month, 0 for a couple months, and you lose like 6 or 7 because the third fell on a Friday, the third fell on a Saturday, they got paid on Friday, and then the 4th of July, well, that wouldn't work, but Labor Day was on the 5th, and then the check doesn't even draw out of their account till the Tuesday, and they've blown all their money on smokes and booze, and now you're like, holy crap, how am I going to save all this stuff? Okay, so this stuff happens, all right? So the key thing is it's all in how you sell, all right? I think at the end of the day, what matters more than anything is you've got to sell this stuff the right way, all right? So I teach my agents to follow a particular process, which I've gone over a lot on YouTube, that essentially is designed to develop rapport, trust, and likability, but then heavily lean on pre-qualification to determine if you've got a qualified prospect as opposed to a unqualified suspect. If they are anything other than completely qualified, then you don't need to do anything with them. You're going to be pushing, forcefully being aggressive to try to sell them something, and you may get it, but they'll wake up the next day or sometime in the next 270 days as your advance is on the hook of being charged back to you to change your mind and quit. So I want somebody who has need, want, bank account, budget, and has health. That's the easiest of it all. We can draft their account. They have a budget they're easily comfortable with. I want them, in essence, to be so comfortable with their budget that we agree upon, that they forget about it. It doesn't cause any stress, duress, or issues, okay? And what that allows you to do is maximize, can't eliminate, but it maximizes your ability to keep the business on the books to its best extent possible. The way you know that you're doing the best by this is that you're getting a good cross-section on a monthly basis of $15, $20, $25 a month policies, all the way up to the 50s, and then the occasional $100 to $200 deals that kind of drive that average up. But it's all predicated on selling it right, selling it when there's a defined need and want that the client can enthusiastically and coherently express. There shouldn't be any confusion on why they're buying, because if there's any confusion, they'll wake up the next day and be like, this is stupid, what did I do? You know, I just bought because I'm an idiot, and they probably did it before. So if you ever sense that, by the way, it's likely that you're not questioning them hard enough. So that's a big thing. The other thing is just to sell competitive pricing, okay? Look, if I'm out here selling overpriced policies, we all know who they are, and I'm Mr. Good, awesome agent, and I'm, create the good vibes, and Mildred thinks I'm the best. She loves my kids. I love her 5 cats and fur flying everywhere, and we just leave, and it's all good. And then you roll up in there. You're brand new. You kind of know what you're doing. You understand the business a little bit. And Mildred's like, it's like December, and the heating bill in the trailer is like $300, as it should be $50. And you're like, well, I got this company. It's called Mutual of Omaha, or whatever it is. And it looks like I can save you, $300, $400 a year. What's Mildred going to tell you, who's on a fixed income, who doesn't have 2 pennies to rub together, who doesn't have any savings? Is she going to tell this guy no? Probably not. I would say 8 out of 10 times you'll be like, yeah, it ain't personal, Dave, but, a Joe average agent who's not great but not bad is giving me a better deal. And so I'm a little emphatic about this, because a big element of chargeback problems is because you've sold a product that doesn't optimize value. Again, hence why I'm a big advocate of being independent, because you can eliminate that side of the coin where in captivity, in a captive situation, you never can. You are forced to sell, in many cases, an overpriced, poor product that does not mesh well with all of the clients that you have. So you are the company man versus being the independent guy who works for their clients and can shop the carriers, can get a better deal at a better price. You don't get that when you're a company man and you're captive. And you will be replaced. And I made particular emphasis on the fact that you not will be replaced. It won't be like super agent Dave Duford rolling in there replacing you. It'll be Joe average agent who just started, who sees a simple comparison and a price difference and makes it obvious to Mildred. Mildred's not a dummy. She's going to replace you, okay? So you prevent that from doing that, and then as well as making sure that you really work hard to hit budgets and final expense to prevent that. Now, this is all final expense talk. You see a lot of less, I'm assuming, your final expense, because most other products you're not going to see a ton of chargeback issues, but still the same issues remain. Independence, which leads to better product quality, and selling it the right way. It's just fundamentals of selling good blocks of business. Okay, Mark says, I've recently started following your channel. Thanks for all the nuggets of knowledge. You're more than welcome, Mark. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you being on the call today. By the way, short shameless bribe, if you're interested in working with me inside of my insurance agency, go to davidduford.com. Lots of material in the sidebar and the navigation menu on the type of stuff I do. I do work with agents. I do mentor them, final expense, Medicare supplement sales, turning 67 market specifically, annuity sales, as well as mortgage protection. Find out more. Go to my website, davidduford.com. All right. Hey, Discus Tom, welcome back. Mark, you have another question. He says, will insurance carriers allow you to adjust your commission advance? For example, as from 9-month advance to 3-month advance, or even as earned? Yes. However, most agent carrier contracts stipulate an advance is already assumed, unless your credit's horrible or there's something where a company's just going to pull that away from you. That's a rarity, actually. Most of the time, though, you're set up on a 9-month advance. There are a few carriers like Great Western, AIG that'll do a 6-month advance. However, if you don't want an advance or as much of an advance, you can call each company up, call up the commissions department or contracting and say, hey, look, I want a contract advance from 9 months to 6 months, 3 months, or just as earned. Your agency should love you. I mean, I love when I have an agent go as earned or a lower advance. I don't push it, but it takes risk off the table for the agency as far as chargebacks go. So if you get a chargeback after 3 payments, you only owe 3 months of advance versus 6 months of advance if you're on a 9-month advance. Makes sense? So call each company up, have them do it. There should be no resistance in doing it. It's a good thing for the agency. Hey, Ray Cordova, how you doing, man? When calling and setting your first final expense appointment, would you ask the clients about health issues pre-existing or gathering their meds prior to going on that first appointment? Okay, so let me read one more through, make sure I understand the context here. I think I do. Good, Andrew. Thank you. When calling and setting your first FE appointment. Okay, that's the emphasis, right? Your very first FE appointment. I prescribe. Okay, so what's the rule? No, that's Fight Club. Never talk about Fight Club, and then something else. I forget what it is. Trying to relate, but I forgot the comparison. The point is I'm going to tell you the rules, but you can break the rules. But I really don't want you to, because you have to earn the right to break the rules. So let me explain. When you start off in final expense, and this is really true of all sales, the best way, okay, there's many methods. Principles are few. Methods always change. Principles never do. The method I teach is a principled approach that's been proven to work across different products, insurance, non-insurance related. It works well, and it is simple. Your goal on the phone is to do only one thing. It is to set the appointment. It is to sell the appointment, as opposed to doing what, guys? Selling the product. Now, why would we care about setting or selling an appointment versus selling a product? Here's the thing. I have gone back and forth over the years about this, and I know I'm not a fundamentalist on this. There are people who are selling the product and selling the appointment over the phone. They do very well. I'm interested in what works for the vast majority of people. Keyword works for most people. Here's the thing. You have to understand something about selling insurance. The most important critical aspect of making a product sell for insurance, I don't care what you're selling, is you. People buy people first. Then they buy the product. Then they buy your recommendation. You are the most important component to the process of selling insurance. Have you ever thought why we're still in existence? Okay? Why are there insurance agents selling insurance? Why is there no, why is Amazon not dominating insurance sales, right? Have you thought about this yet? Because there's something about insurance where people feel, and this is my opinion, the nature of insurance is confusion. The nature of insurance is unsure and lack of clarity. And utilizing and working with a human being on a personal basis tends to get us better results in contracting and closing business. So where does this all go? When we're talking about final expense, because of our market, and you have to trust me on this, if this is your first FE appointment, You've got to take my word for it. Everybody experienced who does this for a living knows this. Final expense is a weird market. It is not like any other market you're going to run into. And mastering final expense is about mastering the people that you sell to, okay? Mastering the understanding of them. It takes time, but take my word on it. The way that you sell final expense prospects is a face-to-face meeting. You have got to get in front of them to communicate with them because there's more at your leverage to make an impact on getting in touch with these people in order to create a sale. There's something about the phone with final expense people that they just clam up. I've heard these people talk on the phone. They lose all personality. They're hard to communicate with because you just get grunts, basically. So I am an advocate. You just got to get on the phone. Okay, so ran off. Here's what you say. So what do you say? Here's what you do. You say, hey, Mrs. Jones, this is David Duford. The reason I'm calling is because you sent this card in requesting information about our X. So state-regulated mailer, state-regulated life insurance program, whatever your card says. Reason that I'm calling is because I'm going to be in your area tomorrow and wanted 5 or 10 minutes just to show you how this program works. Would Tuesday at 2 work better, or tomorrow at 2, or would 10 work? And then shut up and let them tell you. And if they object to it, say, hey, that's totally fine. A lot of people say that. They already have life insurance, but the reason that they want to meet with me anyway is because I'm going to show them totally something completely different. Look, all I need is 5-10 minutes to show you this. What you do with this information is entirely up to you. How's Tuesday at 2 or would 10 be better? That's all you say. That's like 95% of the script. There's some little deviations you can make. But notice what I'm saying. Did I talk product? No. Even in the objection, I already got life insurance as the objection, by the way. I don't really even address it. I'm like, hey, that's fine. Most people I see already have life insurance. The reason they meet with me anyway is because they want to see what other options are out there, just so they have the knowledge to making sure they've got the best package altogether. All I need is 5 minutes, and that whole spiel, I'll let you go back and listen to it again. That is selling the appointment. You see, the biggest thing with these, the reason we sell the appointment is because people aren't meeting with you because they don't need insurance, because they're broke or anything like that. These are just fluff words to cover up the fact they're just resistant to a sales call. So you spend the time on the phone selling them on an appointment. And why it's no big deal. It's just 5 minutes. There's no obligation. You can throw me out. We'll still be friends. I say stuff like that. And you can too. And then use the appointment to get in and actually sell this stuff. Gather the medications, gather the health history information, make an impact in a relationship with your client, your future client. Here's the problem with that, guys. You're going to run periods of time sitting down with people where you don't make sales. But this is the nature of a system. There is no way in hell in any kind of insurance system that produces constantly people who throw their checkbooks at you, okay? Just to be clear, you have to take a risk as a salesperson that you may not make a sale. There's no way around it. You will sit with people who will set an appointment with you who no-show you or are total assholes, okay? I say all this because I've experienced this hundreds of times over the 3,000 plus appointments I've done. It is a reality of this business. You're not going to divorce yourself from it. Embrace it. It is a part of the process. It is the only way it's going to happen. And it's the way, it may not be the only way, but it is an effective way that half of them will say no and then the other half will say yes. And you got to focus on the half that say yes, meaning the ones that sit with you. Hopefully that answers your question. Hey guys, looks like the questions are coming. I'm going to try to wrap this up. I promised my wife I would only go 30 minutes. I'm 33 minutes in. I can hear her seething downstairs. Uh-oh. Okay, Discus. Hey Tom, what's up? Was listening to you today while driving. You suggested showing prospects copies of the famous 3 TV insurers. Fine print, laminate, and keep with them. Great idea. How do you get them? Okay, great question. So what Tom's asking is, the presentation I teach for final expense agents is it's a concept of preponderance of proof. So when a lawyer presents a trial, right, there's supposed to be evidence that some guy did something, okay? In some cases today, that's not the case, wink, wink. But the reality is that a lawyer is supposed to prosecute based off of evidence, not off of propositions or innuendo or he said, she said. So besides common day unfortunate practices of accusing people who are supposedly guilty before they're innocent, the reality is when we're salespeople, we don't have that advantage. Ultimately, what it comes down to is that when we tell somebody that this policy is going to cancel at 80, it's AARP. You've seen them everywhere. They've got the greatest reputation. they're going to cancel at 80. Okay, you have to assume that they're going to cause some kind of skepticism in you. So the way you do it is show them the material that AARP sends them. Same with Colonial Penn or Globe Life. And the way that you get this, first of all, the way that you get this is just get on their mailing list. Go to the websites, AARP, NewYorkLife.com, Globe Life, Colonial Penn, request an info package. They will send you. You're on their mailing list the rest of their life. They will continue to send you junk mail, but you get all their relevant information and new programs if they ever come up with them. But the point here is that what this allows you to do is to demonstrate with fact. Not only am I saying this is the truth, just look what they say. And there's no way that anybody can say, well, I think you're a liar at that point. Not that they would. They really wouldn't, because they pretty much are going to trust you. But showing that as powerful evidence that you have the client's best interest at heart. And you will win hearts and minds, if you haven't already, by taking time to show people this stuff. So get signed up. Everybody should do it. It's all free. You'll get harassed. Make up a email. Make sure you put the right mailing address and get that information. All right, a couple other things here. Billy, I work with a place that suggested, thanks for joining, Billy, by the way. I get my life and health insurance license so I can sell some in a downtime, but they don't have a system. I don't know what I would do. I start in term, door-to-door phone. Okay, let me read that again. I'm going a little faster. I work with a place that suggested I get my life and health insurance license. What are you selling right now? So I can sell during downtime, May through December. What's downtime? So what's the in season? Do you sell tax? Are you a tax person? Give me some information there. Maybe I could help you better. Don't have a system. That's kind of a problem. How do I start in term? Give me some advice on that, or reply with kind of some clarification. I'm just curious with your background. It sounds like you're not licensed, but it sounds like you're selling something else out of some other business. Let me know, and I can kind of guide you there. There might be some better advice once I know specifics. Tax, okay, that's what I figured. Okay, so here's what I would suggest, Billy. Will your team let you work with your tax clients? You have got, if you can, there is a really good opportunity to work with people who already inherently have a bias towards their tax advisor, and they're interested in reducing taxes. And life insurance can do that to some extent. Your best bet, though, and this is the problem, is you're going to have to find somebody, if you go that direction, to work with them under that accord. Now, this just depends on the kind of market you're dealing with. Like my tax guy, he works with business owners, okay? If I worked in his organization, he suggested to do this, I would want to be in a position to work with some guy above me that would be able to answer specific advice as it related to the business clients that my tax office had, my tax practice had. If you deal with like more of a, Liberty tax arrangement with the Statue of Liberty dancing around in the corner, and you're dealing with Joe average people just looking to maximize a refund, that's a great market too. You could sell term insurance, whole life insurance, basic cookie cutter insurance, but I think the best route to go is to work your existing clientele base, because they already know, like, and trust that organization. Any kind of person that comes from there it's an inherent referral and reference, right? Because it's got the tax office behind them, and you're going to have a lot more appointments set because of that. And if you tie in the script based off of, hey, if it's small business, hey, I work with my tax guy, Smith and Associates, and I work with Smith and Associates. My job is to help small business owners with tax-related questions and helping maximize their returns or minimizing their tax burden through some of our interesting life insurance products. I just want to show you how it works. Can I have 5 minutes to drop in tomorrow? Do a script like that. You'll set a ton of appointments that way. You get the idea. If it's just regular insurance, you can say, hey, I work with so-and-so insurance company. We noticed that you've been a client for a long time. Thank you very much. The reason I'm calling is I actually specialize in helping so-and-so's clients with their insurance needs, and would like to stop by and show you some ways maybe we could help you out with it regarding insurance, blah, blah, blah. So you can kind of do something like that. That's what I would do. If you don't have anything at your resource beyond that, check out my website, shameless plug, davidduford.com, and then click on the Working with David link if for any reason, just to get some ideas as to different kinds of markets that are available. I talk about annuity sales, mortgage protection, Medicare supplements, and then final expense. That's going to help kind of guide you kind of what you think is good. Maybe you can show this to your team at the office and kind of get an understanding of what works good for them. Bruce, hey Bruce, what's up, man? So I have 50 plus fresh leads in one zip code. Age-old question for me: why schedule any appointments versus just line them up and door knock? The only reason I would suggest doing appointment setting is because it's going to take you a lot longer to work through 50 leads on a door knock basis than it will on an appointment setting basis, right? So, and the thing is I believe personally, the clock starts when you get those leads, because they're getting more people who are sending them more direct mail cards for life insurance every single day. And they're going to send that card back if they don't hear from you, okay, if they haven't already. And some dude may walk in and sell the deal, and yeah, you could get in and replace it, but it's a lot harder right after they've made a sale, after they spent an hour or 2 hours, going through a sales call. They're going to have a lot more reluctance in doing it. I think if you're good on the phone, and I know you are, Bruce, pick up the phone, start setting appointments. Get busy on the phone. Set 12 appointments Tuesdays and Thursdays for a couple weeks, and it'll start to peter out, and then go door knock the other ones, because at that point, that's all you can do after you've tried them on the phone. Does that help? Hopefully it does. All right, let's see. Bruce, why couldn't I call them and offer to work over the phone or in person, let them choose, thereby bringing down their guard and creating comfort? Because you'll waste time, I think. I mean, just as a gut feel. If this is final expense leads, I would just do what I'm doing, I suggest. It just depends on the kind of leads you get. I think that direct mail needs to be a person-to-person sale. Hey, Edward, what's the best lead company out there? And telephone lead or mail lead works better? Bottom line, I'll try to keep this brief. I'm running out of time. Best lead company out there, the ones that consistently gets you leads that you can afford and can keep getting leads weekly. And without being smart, I prefer direct mail leads. We do a good job with our direct mail program. We can get 10 leads a week up to 50 leads plus, if that's the case, on a weekly recurring basis. Telephone lead or mail lead works better. For final expense, I would not do any telemarketing leads. I think they all suck. They're the worst leads ever for final expense. Prove me wrong. Direct mail is the best. That's where you want to start if you've got the capabilities financially. Now, telemarketing for Medicare is fantastic. I know one fellow that writes like 40 or 50 cases a month on face-to-face sales off of telemarketed leads. They work beautifully, okay? It's still good for Medicare. They work well for the annuity market, strangely enough, even. It's all in how you set the appointments and work with them. I've just never seen the success with final expense since Press One and Avatar technology has been removed. Basically, they automated the process and reduced the price and created a little better quality lead. But now we have to outsource it to the Philippines or India or Pakistan, and these old people can't understand them, okay? Why would you want to torture them? I gave one story once where on the fourth call after the first three no-showed me that were telemarketed leads, the lady called the cops, and I had already called her like 30 minutes before and said, hey, I'm going to show up a little early. All right with that? She said, yeah, sure, come on over. And she freaking called the cops on me. Stupid. Dumb leads. Anyways, don't do telemarketed leads. Moral of the story, if you sell final expense. Hopefully that answers your question. Kashaka, hey, how you doing? Dave, your honest opinion on FE sales, telesales, does it work? And if so, do you work with any agents doing this? Yes, it works, but you have to be in a call center based on my experience for 95% of the people out there. Of course, there's always exceptions to the rules. We know there's exceptions to the rules, but there's exceptions to the rules because there's rules, right? So, my success, so like North Star or PPG, these are groups that do telesales and final expense. They seem to do okay. The vast majority of them, though, including North Star and others, are all call center based. You're inside of a cubicle. You're smiling and dialing. You have managers that are managing the process, a particular script to follow. It's been refined and honed, and you sell one company. That is the way to be successful at telesales. Now, however success is defined may be different than you. Yeah, you could probably make a good income if you're good at it, but compared to face-to-face, I still think face-to-face is the predominant way to do business. There's more people who I have experienced are successful at face-to-face than telesales. And I think it's just the market of final expense. But again, I make complete concessions. There are people, I think there's more success in telesales now than there were 5 years ago. And I think that will continue. But face-to-face is old-fashioned. It works. Our leads are old-fashioned, meaning our market's old-fashioned, and face-to-face is one of the best ways to do it. With that said, I do know one guy right now who is writing close to $1 million a year over the phone completely. No face-to-face. But he generates leads organically. He doesn't buy leads. I think that's a completely different process. All right, let's see. Lisa. Hey, how you doing, Lisa? This is really helpful. Thank you. You're welcome. Mortif. Awesome name. New to final expense, and you and I appreciate your work. You got it, man. Thank you. Edward says, thanks for your opinion. And yes, final expense leads. Good. Yes. Okay, so I answered that question. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining. I am going to hit the road. As you can see, it's starting to get dark over here in good old Tennessee. Hope you guys enjoyed this awesome training. If you'd like to learn more about what I do, go to davidduford.com. And also, wait, one more thing. Make sure you come to Mr. Cody Askin's 8% Nation Conference. It's in the beautiful city of Nashville, Tennessee. It's going to be, I think it's like end of October, 27th, 28th, Friday and Saturday. Grant Cardone is there. If you like Grant Cardone, he's there. But more importantly, way more importantly than Grant Cardone, that football player guy that you've heard about, I'm going to be there. If there's any reason to be at this thing, it's to just touch the hem of my shawl, to shake my hand, to buy my books so I can sign them. I'm going to be, in all seriousness, on a speaking panel, and I'll be with some great agents, Matt Mungia of the Insurance Squad. He wrote $500,000 in final expense a couple years ago. Jeff Root, the master, the man behind the curtain when it comes to developing insurance websites that generate leads, amongst other noteworthy and professional and impressive insurance people. So I'll be doing a speaking panel, so we'll be all kind of taking your questions live, kind of like this, I guess, but more interaction. So it should be really cool. I think the panel is going to be the best thing about it, besides me being there. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I really did. Stay in tune. Go to my Facebook page. If you haven't subscribed here on the YouTube channel, go to my Facebook page, David Duford. I think it's like at David Duford Mentor. I'm going to do a Facebook live stream Q&A like this in a couple of weeks, and we'll just keep this process going. Dave Duford, logging out. See you later. Bye.